welcome to another episode of Positive Mind Saturdays with your host, Positive B. White. And as a quick reminder, this will be my last Saturday show. We will be moving to Sunday, so we will then be Positive Mind Sundays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So same great show, just a different day of the week. But without further ado, I have two amazing brothers that we will be talking today about mental wellness. So we'll break down why mental wellness is so important, and then we'll talk authorship with J. Lewis Franklin, and also Renault. He's going to give his feedback on why mental wellness is so important and why we need to lock in on this narrative. So, a couple housekeeping things. Be sure to follow and like us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well. We're streaming live here on YouTube at 101 TKO Radio. And be sure to follow me as well on all social media at Positive Be White, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all over the web. You can't miss me. So, without further ado, welcome to Positive Mind Saturdays. I have my brother, J. Lewis Franklin.
Yes.
Good to see you, brother. And also, he's accompanied by Renault, who I met earlier this morning. So we're going to have a great conversation. So first and foremost, be sure to follow my brother and check out his book. Please ask him if he's okay, which is available now on Amazon. It's a great read. I actually did the foreword for it. So be sure to lock in with that, and then check out my mental wellness book, Level Up Your Mind, the ultimate mental wellness upgrade, available on Amazon, or you can check out www.positivebewhite.com and grab your copy. So let's get started. My brother,
Yes.
welcome back.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
Amazing. Good. Amazing, man. Again, I want to thank you for sharing your platform.
Absolutely.
I don't take this lightly. Right? I know you're busy, and there are tons of people, emailing you, messaging you, trying to get on your platform. So I'm humbled, right, that you have me back for a second time.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed the first one. And what I like is you ask the questions that the people want. Absolutely. Right? I do these all the time, and sometimes you get the questions about a product or whoever the sponsorship is, right? And so you don't get a chance to address the people the way you want to, but you ask the questions that's going to benefit and have an impact. So I'm excited about it. We're doing this live, no, hey, these are the questions we're going to ask. So So I appreciate that. To use the old term, I guess we're going to freestyle this week.
Absolutely. And I've learned freestyling comes out the best because it's so natural or organic, and it's not scripted. So it comes out how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
So we're going to deep dive into some interesting topics, but also Renault. Pleasure to meet you. We spoke a little bit off camera about some of the things you're doing and what you're going to be doing a little bit later on this summer. So obviously I said your name, but introduce yourself and tell the audience what it is you do and why it's so impactful for you to do what you do.
Yeah, wow, where do I start? I feel like a mosquito at a nudist camp. I can't wait to stick in. Wait. Don't think about that visual, right? So it was interesting. Somebody asked me today at the gym, they said, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm an entrepreneur and a humanitarian and a peopleologist, right? The net of it is I get fulfilled with business, but serving others fills my soul. So I think you can do a combination of both. And so over the last years, I've had a chance to do amazing things in the tech world. I was the first African American field CTO for government for a Fortune 500 company. Thank you. And start a global nonprofit, which is a tech and life skills academy, teaching cybersecurity, data privacy, and also life skills. And actually, we're heading over to South Africa, I shared earlier, in a few months, and we're doing a 2-day men's empowerment summit with 5 pillars: faith, fitness, family, finance, fun, and then I'm heading out to Ghana over there as well too. So just super excited, and I feel like a stage is for a performance, but really a platform for influence. And this is what this is all about. It's just for influence. So, and I've said this many times. I've been on many stages, but just take one takeaway, just one takeaway, and momentum builds more momentum. So thank you again just for the time and effort that you've put in, because I know the effort that it takes, right, to do this. And I pray that the audience receives some nuggets from it.
Absolutely, and that's very, very, very powerful. And what I want to do is obviously I want to make that trip because that'll be one of my first trips to Africa. But
Well, no, actually, you're second. I think it was 1612. You came over as a Atlantic Uber, right? But I don't really think you had a choice in that matter.
I don't think we had a choice then. So
You want to come back?
I want to come. Yeah, I want to definitely
Yeah.
go back, and this
Yeah.
time under my own pretenses.
There we go.
As they would say. But absolutely, and thank you for that amazing message. And we want to, give people their flowers while they're here. So continue to live in your truth and do all those things you do. We appreciate it, and we need to see more of us brothers doing things like that as well.
I want to add something to that.
Okay.
Like, this guy is really modest.
Yeah, I know he's being modest, but we're gonna extract it out of him.
He's being modest. I'm actually a product of his nonprofit training.
Okay.
Right. I was here before with my other book, Transformed by Faith.
Right.
Right. How I transitioned from being a truck driver into tech, and now owning a global technology company. Focus on data privacy. So if you're having data privacy issues, which everyone is,
Yes.
give us a call. But that's the benefit of it, right? And I was in the early stages where he was actually teaching the classes, and we just on camera, and we just go through it. And now it looks like Oxford, the way it's set up now.
Yeah.
But the benefit of it, and that taught me also, right, why I give back so much. Right, on Thursday I teach a data privacy training course, because to me the best way to honor your mentors is to let them see what they've downloaded in you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? From a technology standpoint, from those positive things, and so that's why we're always giving. So,
Well said.
yeah, he's
Well said.
he's a humble guy, man.
Guys, honestly, I wanted a seat over there. Literally, I just wanted to see you all make it do what it do. But it's humbling to have others on this platform. And it's not about us, but it's what comes through us. There are so many other individuals in the audience that want to do that as well, too. So, John, just to see what you've done and what you're doing, and to see what you're doing, and it's not you want to come back to the motherland. You will be coming back, right? And what we'll be able to do together. Just imagine one. I'll share one story. I'm a storyteller, if you don't mind, right? So I don't need any scripts,
That's
right?
what positive minds is for.
I had to give a talk to the Senate one time, and they said, no, they don't want a presentation, because they asked me, they said, what is cybersecurity? And I wanted to say cybersecurity is like taking a shower. You take a shower every day, no one really knows about you. But it's not until you don't take a shower, it's when everyone knows about you. But I didn't say that, right? I had to be politically correct. But the thing that I was going to say is, John, just to see what you're doing and see the path that you're heading on, and then the people that you're leading along the way. Because here's the thing, is two saying is that the old man will die, the young man may die, right? And we're taking this to the next level. So
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, John, you written two books. Transformed by Faith, which I had a chance to really get into, was really inspirational because at 40, I feel like that's like you're starting second quarter of life. And for those, some people are really, really, really scared to transition. So if they're working a 9 to 5, or if they're in a career that they don't really enjoy as much, they have a problem or a struggle trying to get out of it, because you have to jump into another realm, right?
Yes.
And in the book, I like what you do. You break down how your journey was and why it was so important for you to pivot. And how did you get that inspiration to be able to share that in a book? Where did that inspiration come from?
That inspiration came from having mentors, and I always mention Renault and Superior Howard, Colonel Superior because the only way that you create this ecosystem is you have to communicate. You have to communicate honestly and transparently. So that's why I did that book, because someone, even those that know you, can see the transition. Right? Oh, you were doing this, now you're doing that.
Yes.
And if you're not honest about it, you can turn yourself into a superstar liar, is what I call it.
Right.
Right. My grandfather used to have this term my brother and I laugh at about certain people. He would say, well, you know, he's a big time liar.
Big time.
You know? And so that's what you turn yourself into, a big time liar, because you're taking all of this glory, right? And you know, especially if you have insecurities, and you know, we'll get into some of that later. But when you tell the story the way it happened, because someone, I look at information this way. It's like the interstate. You know, we're not that far from the interstate. And you can see the cars moving and people going.
Right.
But if you don't have an on-ramp, how do I get there to get from this destination to the next?
Yes.
So the transparency and the honesty gives on-ramps on several streets. You may not be a truck driver, so that's not your street. But you may be 40 with a family and your career is not working. That may be your street.
Yes.
Right? Or you may, hey, I've tried something several times and it didn't work, but I want to give it another shot. That may be your street. Right? And so that's what did it for me, because there is nothing, I don't want to say there's nothing, but when you're a man with kids, with a wife, you're 40 years old, basically you're told to, hey, just do the best you can with what you have.
Which is interesting you said that, because I'm at that point.
Yeah.
I'm at that moment. That's so the book really, really resonates with me, because that's the moment that I'm in.
Yeah.
So obviously you went through that process. So when I read the book, I see it from a different perspective, because I'm in that moment as we speak now. So it's very important and very crucial, because a lot of men in my network are around my age and around that age. So they're transitioning, because they're saying, hey, maybe I wasn't a truck driver, but maybe I was in a career and I just need to do something different.
Yeah.
I have a wife, I have a family, I have kids, and this is not working, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, yes. And I think what happens now is, especially everywhere, but I'm going to speak specifically to our community, right? And especially for men, sometimes we are rated on old metrics, right? People are using old data to determine who we are, what we should look like, what's our trajectory, right? So the African American man in 1985 is not the same as 2026, right? And so I think those things are important, because sometimes you're boxed in. What can seem like love, you know, can slowly close in and almost smother you, right? Because people are doing this because I think a lot of times it's from a good place. But if you don't check this, especially by the scriptures, right, and know what did God say, right? What is possible? How should I do this? Right? So for a man, and we see it all of the time. You know, he was speaking of a function they were having, and you know, the party, you know, used the term YNs, you know, and I hate the term,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The connotations to it, but we can't ignore it.
Right.
And sometimes that comes from the old data.
Right.
A lot of these younger children, right, they grow up hating men.
Right.
And that may not have been the purpose, right, but this is the result. If all you hear is bad things about men,
Right.
over and over and over again, right, and I'm going to use a colloquialism here, that same child can grow up almost being, for lack of a better term, like a sucker for a woman, right? She treat him anyway, break his heart, all of this stuff. But if you brush up against him and you're a man, his first thing is threat.
Right.
Because he heard this over and over again about men, what they are, what they did. And there's always two sides to a story, three if you're going to do it with balance. And so those old metrics don't work. I hear people say, you know, black men, you know, don't take care of their kids. I've actually heard this preached in a sermon over the last 3 or 4 years. You you know, these black men don't take care of their children. And, man, that bothers me,
Yes.
right?
And it
Because
should.
the men I know, and I'm gonna be transparent, I trust the kids being with the father more than the mother sometimes. And this has been, and not in all cases, but sometimes, right?
Yes.
I know men that are great fathers, right? But we're judged by old metric, and people look at you like that, right? And so now that you put in this work to become better, right? You're taking the counseling, you're having group discussions like this. Now things are different. But if you're judging a lion on his ability to swing from a tree like a monkey, he's gonna rate very low.
Very low.
You know what
Very
I mean?
low.
When
Very,
the truth
very.
is, somebody needs to look at the lion and tell him to get his monkey, you know what, out the tree. You know what I'm saying?
Go hunt.
Yeah, go hunt.
And do this stuff with his poor falls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what happens with us,
Yes.
right? Because you're trying to fit in. But the key is not the fitting in, right? It's I have to stand out. And sometimes standing out is the narrow path the scriptures talk about. Hey man, I am what God created me to be. You may not recognize it, you may not understand it, but that's where I am. So the more we lean into that, now, if you, I'm just gonna say it the way I
Yeah,
feel.
you can say
right?
it. You can say it.
So, if you're not secure with yourself, you'll be what everybody around you wants you to be. Right? Because you say like water takes the form of whatever is in it. That's one phase of water. That's if there's no pressure, that water's not going anywhere, right? That water doesn't have a real purpose. You can just pour it. It's just still water. You can pour it in the glass, in the cup, whatever, and it's just gonna take the form. Now, go to Niagara Falls and put a glass out there and see what happens. You see what I'm saying? And that's what we have to be remind ourselves of. Hey man, you're not built to take every form, right? Because the truth is, water on the path, on the destination, carves out everything around it. And we see it all the time. You try to stop water from being water, and what happens? Eventually, it's gonna curve around a little bit, but it's building up momentum to figure it out, and it'll break the dam, right? It'll destroy whatever's in its way. So I think sometimes we need to get back to that, and that's where a lot of our mental issues come from, because you're lying, trying to swing from a tree, right? And people keep telling you you got to swing from this tree, right? Now, everybody else like it because they're safe, because now the ecosystem is messed up, and the prey and everything else feels good because the monkey's in the tree. We can have a party here, I don't have to worry about any of this, there's no accountability on the ground because the lion's in the tree. But when he gets back on the ground and he's doing what he's supposed to, now there's accountability all around. And so sometimes that feels like you're being attacked, but no one, unless you're really disciplined, loves accountability like that. So that's a long answer, man. But you know, I'm passionate about these things.
And I love that passion. And what I want to do is we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to deep dive into some mental wellness techniques, and we'll talk about why mental wellness is so important. And then also be sure to, like I said, follow us, like, subscribe to the page on YouTube at 101 TKO Radio. On all social media, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That's important. Turn on the notifications as well. And then be sure to follow me on all social media, Positive Be White. And be sure to check out the website, www.positivebewhite.com, if you want to book an interview and come on for Positive Mind Sundays. Y'all keep it locked in. We'll be right back after a short break. two amazing guests this morning. And the first session we touched on some things that feel are really important. So this next session, I want to deep dive into why mental wellness is so important, especially for amongst men as well. And then we'll kind of deep dive into that. And also, be sure to check out the two books we have in front of you. You can order both of those on Amazon. And be sure to check out Transformed by Faith as well, which is another good read. So be sure to check that out as well. And now, to deep dive back into what we were talking about, obviously we're going to go into the mental wellness space. So Renault, I want to start with you as we come back from break. And then let me give an interesting stat before we get started. So in the U.S., approximately 80% of the suicides are men. So that's approximately 8 out of 10 men are deciding to commit suicide. So this could be from a range of things, but the dynamic is something that I want to change, especially in our community. We gotta get those rates flipped to where 2 out of 10 men may consider committing suicide, and 8 can figure things out through therapy, group meetings, or the zero. Zero would be perfect. But this is a narrative that I want to nail in on. So Renault, I want to start with you. Why is mental wellness so important, and how do you handle mental wellness, especially with all the things you have going on?
Wow, man, that's loaded, man. That's loaded. Gotcha. Let's see where I can start. Let me just start with a quick story. It's home. So hopefully I don't become too emotional. This is my first time actually talking about this. And that is 2 years ago, I received a call. And that call was, he's no longer here. That's one of the hardest things that you can hear from someone that you consider to be your Superman. Okay? It was my mother's youngest brother, my uncle. Okay? So I get this call, right? And I'm like, no, this is my Superman right here. Because when I would talk to him, everything was great. He was proud of all the things that I was doing. And so I just thought about it, and I had to rewind it. And so my son asked me this question. He said, Dad, he said, one thing that I always saw, he said, you've always been my Superman. He said, I've never seen your vulnerability. I've never seen you vulnerable. I thought about that, right? But then I had to go back, right? I'm gonna answer your question, right? Yeah, because the way I was raised is I was raised that you don't cry in front of another man, right? You know, but we cry in the dark, right? And that's what was happening with my uncle, you know, with the burdens. Because if you think about it, you know, we have to be the provider, right? In many ways, a financial provider, inspirational provider. There's so many hats that we wear at work. We're wearing a work hat. We got a home hat. We got a homeboy hat, right? And so what happens when we get hurt, right? So that being the case, it made me think about it, and it made me think, why are other men dealing with this? Because guess what? We're all wearing these multiple hats, and we don't really talk about those hats. Somebody asked me today in the gym, "Are you okay?" Right? And there's a book I know you're going to talk about. Ask him if he's okay. How many times do they ask you that, right? And do you truthfully answer, or is it a service? Hey man, I'm good. I'm hooked up like a tow truck, right? You know, do we get deep with it, right? And so when I think about it, you say, how do I handle it? Man, let me just be real with you guys, right? Okay. Because if a man doesn't know his purpose, right, he'll distract himself with artificial purpose. Okay, and I've said that before. What's that artificial purpose? There's an acronym I created called SAD, SICK, DIE. What I mean by that, SAD, sex, right? Alcohol, drugs, right? Those things that promise to fulfill you temporarily, but they become a permanent pain, right? Permanent pain, right? And then that makes you sick. Standards. You reduce your standards, your integrity. You stop being your character, you stop being kind, and then you die. You don't physically die, but those dreams die, right? your imagination die, and then you don't empower anyone, right? So I think that's one way I deal with it. Having a purpose that's bigger than me, because purpose is that thing that pulls you. We all have a purpose. If you think about how the body works, right? You have dopamine, which is the feel good. You get that from sex, alcohol, drugs. But you can create a dopamine by creating a to-do list. You don't realize that, right? I remember one time we went to California. I was up there. I had a to-do list. I was going to go hiking. I was going to work out. I was going to go to the museum. And I did everything. And I got up the next day and I realized there's one thing I didn't cross out. And I got up, I crossed that sucker out, had to get my dopamine, right? I felt great, right? So there are natural ways to create that. Oxytocin. This is oxytocin, right? And people don't realize oxytocin, there's 3 ways you create oxytocin. One is music. That's why, you ever hear your jam, your music, right? Touch, that's another one. And then dance, right? So you can create that. If you ever notice when we see each other, hey man, what's going on? We're touching. That's releasing oxytocin, right? Serotonin. You met people with low serotonin. Hey. All right, and then endorphins, working out. That's called a runner's high. So there are some things that you can do naturally, obviously, but having goals and having a plan and having a purpose is bigger than you. Like as I mentioned earlier, I love building a business, sales department and operations department, finance department, right? Because it's working a part of my brain, that part of that brain, and then also having a non-for-profit that you can serve others. And that pulls me because here's the thing right there. I'm pulled in such a positive way, and things do come up. Don't get it twisted. We all have issues, but what I do at that point is I stay surrendered, meaning that if a man stays surrendered and he stays surrounded, he'll always stay grounded. And what I mean by surrendered is I go into that room, find what room, and I start praying. And I didn't know how to pray years back. I just started doing it. But when I started praying and I started seeing how he was working, and then my prayer, my meditation, it just takes me to another level. And then I stay surrounded with guys like you all, okay? Because the way you keep your feet on the ground is by putting accountability on your shoulder, right? And so I stay surrounded, and then that keeps me grounded. And when you walk low, guess what? If you fall, you don't fall too far. So those are some things that I do to deal with mental health, having a purpose. But the other thing I would tell every guy is understanding that there's a difference between a male versus a man. I think we understand that, right? A male is a biological reality, right? But a man, come on now. And the reason why men struggle with manhood is because we have few examples to follow, right? And I always say, first of all, trace me, track me, my ideology, my mindset, transcend me, right? Those are the 3 things that the guys that I've been able to mentor for the years. Trace me, because I learned from somebody else. And guess what? I'm still learning. I'm learning from you guys as well. But
I got a phone call coming in. A caller coming in.
okay.
Yeah, I have them.
Okay.
Obviously, they want to chime in. Hello. Hey, good. Who am I speaking with?
Let me take the speakerphone to my ear. A little better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, awesome. Yes, I was just chiming in on the Father's Mind Saturday.
Hey, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, my name is Tyrone White.
Tyrone, how you doing? Did I speak to you this morning, Tyrone?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Did I speak to you this morning?
No, you did not.
Oh, okay. Well, what's on your mind, Tyrone? Thanks for calling in. We appreciate you.
Sure. Well, I just wanted to give big up to Mr. Renault and Mr. Franklin. That's on your show this morning.
Absolutely.
I am a cohort of this amazing adventure that he's doing on. And at one time, I was struggling at my workplace, and I go to church with John, and he gave his testimony, and God really brought me on, and it's just been a great experience. I just wanted to shine some light on what they're doing, the work they're doing, the lives that they're affecting. These 2 gentlemen here are awesome.
Absolutely, and we appreciate the call in and the feedback as well. Both of these brothers are doing some amazing things, but I met John actually, I think that was last year at Black Writers Weekend, and we developed and turned this into a powerful, powerful friendship. So thank you for calling in, and we appreciate your feedback for Positive Mind Saturdays, which will now be moving to Positive Mind Sundays. Thanks for calling in.
And the check is in the mail, so I'm sending it UPS. Okay, so you may get it next year. Thank you.
Okay, thanks as well. You should download the app at 101 TKO Radio, available on Apple and Android devices. Thanks, Tyrone.
Thanks, God bless you, bro.
So obviously, I appreciate you, Renault, for that amazing take on that. So, Mr. Franklin, I want to get your take as well on why mental wellness is so important, and how do you handle mental wellness in your everyday life?
Yeah, so I want to go back to something Renault said regarding your uncle. So there's a chapter in the book. Please ask him if he's okay. And it speaks of the quiet burden, quiet weight that men carry. Right? And that's probably every man in here has been the victim of that.
Right.
Because who do I talk to? How do I save it? Right? And men we watch sports because we love stuff that you can quantify. Right? And so then it becomes performance mental. Right? Hey, what car does your wife have? What neighborhood are you in? Kids doing well? So if I'm this, I'm all of a sudden in that area, nobody cares. I'm just saying nobody cares, but you feel like nobody is checking on you, but you're checking the box. Right? But what happens, and I'll go to where this book comes from. I have no real, my brother, the great Pastor Reginald Franklin, like that's my go-to guy. Everything, beyond that, I have a relationship with God. This book started because it was 3 a.m. in the morning. I was downstairs on the sofa, and I remember saying, I'm not okay. This is recently. So this book was not supposed to be a book, right? It was a journal entry, right? Because openly, we have to remove the stigma from therapy. You find a good one that works, right? Because you need it. So the same way I take a physical every year, I get a couple sessions in just to see where you are, right? Sometimes you may need more. Sometimes, okay, we're good. But even with that, and the resources that I have around me, I still found myself at a point where I'm like, man, I'm not okay, right? So now it's, how do I get here? How do I get out of here? What is it? So I started writing down, hey man, what led to this? That's where the book came from, right? And it was supposed to be, I was like, how would it be a good blog? And I realized, I don't know how to blog, right? I have a data privacy company, but as you see, you guys have to, you just turned on my Facebook Live, but I don't know how to do it. Yeah, so I'm not, so social media and all of that's not something that I do. So to get back to your question is, this is how this happens. For me, carrying all of this weight, right? And you're trying to find ways to release it, like you said earlier. Sex, drinking, right? The sports. I have friends and people you've known for years, and you know they're going through things. No one would say it, but man, we can text back and forth forever about, man, you see how the rest of that you know what I'm saying? Or if you have a physical injury, that's a manly injury. Man, I was playing ball. Man, look how it is. Right? But the mental bruising that we go through. So that's why I named the book, Please Ask Him If He's Okay. For what you said earlier. People ask, right? Well, what's our response? Good. That's your default. Always. What's up with you, brother? Hey man, I'm good. Right? Start doing this. And I noticed this with myself. Like if you see a brother, shake a brother hand. Hey, bro, you good? Yeah, man, I'm good. Ah, bro, you good?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you'll watch that thing come down.
Yes.
Right? Because now it just isn't a greeting; it's a concern. Like, hey, bro, are you good? Let's chat. Right? And so this book is for both parts because my wife asked me, "Hey, you all right? What's wrong with you? I don't like you wearing masks." So I'm gonna say, "You understand what I mean?" Or I don't know how to receive that. So the book works both ways. Right? These are the things that I need to know about myself to say, hey, I'm fitting in some of these columns here. Right? And also, and how do I speak to another brother and say, hey man, you good? Are you okay? Let's check. Like a real check. Right. This happened to me one time, and I thought about all of this after the book. At friends that went to a barbecue, and I'm, changing my life and doing something different at the time. But you still, see folk. And I was walking around the corner, the barbecue was in the backyard. My 6 brothers stopped me before I could get to the barbecue. Excuse me, just to talk about some issues. All right, bro, it's all right. We'll talk about it. And then you go to the barbecue, everybody dancing, drinking, and it's cool. But you know what I mean? That's what we do. But we're breaking pride inside.
Absolutely. And this is so therapeutic for me because I think a lot of men we carry stuff in silence, and then at once you have that breakdown, I think that's where the suicide rate comes in because men we're hiding emotions, like you just mentioned. Hey, I'm good. But when you really say, hey, are you good? Then you said, then it gives me, I lower my shield, and now we can have a conversation. And that's how we can healing ourselves. Because then all men need outlets.
They need outlets.
Go ahead.
I want to do this, right? So said about surrounding. So this is why you need a group around you. The scriptures talk about it, and you need the elders to pray for you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And pray with you. But this is something that I try to people around me. Hey man, it's your choice, right? Not to give up. Right? This thing here is between you and God. Right? God is not going to force himself on us. Anything. You choose to stay engaged, or you can choose to give up. But if you don't give up, the brothers around you should make sure that you don't give out. You know what I mean? As long as you engage, you remember the scripture, hey, Moses got tired. Hey, put the man on each side, hold his arms up. Right? That's what you have to do. So when you see the brother that's trying, right? And sometimes it's the conversation. Sometimes it may be go in your pocket. Hey, bro, let me help you out with that. Right? But it may be just a conversation. Create a safe space. Some of the strongest men I know over the past couple of years, right? Because we're creating this space, man, just break down in the tears. I've done it.
Me too. I have too.
You understand? So we have to create that space because you want to do it, but it's like, man. And sometimes you may be in an environment just where the communication has to increase. That, man, I don't know if I can do this with my wife or whatever, and I don't want her to think I can't take care of what's going on. So that's where the counseling and these pieces need to come in. You know what I mean? And that's why I wrote it, because all this surrounds me. My relationship with God, I was still in that place, right? And I was able to see it early before it starts to go wrong. And I keep offering that. I know people right now dealing with some heavy stuff. You know what I mean? Relationship things, it can be health things, it can be business things, it can be real wise. And you try and you see them. You know, like, don't ever go to the gym with this guy. But you see, the guy struggling, and people will watch and won't spot. You know what I mean? Yeah, please.
I want you know why? Here's the thing right here is that's why it's good to have because when you think about life and you think about situations, you think about battles, there are really really three phases. I got to a point where I realized this, that either you're dealing with a battle, or you're dealing with a situation, or you just got out of a battle situation, you're headed to a battle situation. So you think about it, you're in one of those three, and sometimes it's a combination of both, right? It could be, hey man, I just fixed that refrigerator. Now I got a flat, right? That refrigerator flat. Now there's a bill that came in. I like this guy. He was saying that bill collector asked me, say, hey man, when you gonna pay the bill? He said, never. So sometimes you just got to be honest, right? So I just tell you, because all those things are insurmountable itself, and there's some good points that you made in that. You see someone, don't see them, see through them. Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Because it is hard. Because you got to think about it. It's we're not trained that way, right? And then the other thing, and when you listen, and someone said it best, you listen with your eyes, okay? Talk with your ears, okay? And what I do is I said, okay, well, what, you got surgery coming up? Okay. What day? Okay, they give me the date, right? And literally, I put it on my prayer list, right? I pray every single night, right? And then I'll call them before the surgery or after the surgery. It's just the power of understanding somebody. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, okay, yeah. Okay.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, we can hear you
Yep.
good. Who am I speaking with?
Okay, this Sean Banks, man. I'm a realtor out here in Central Florida. I wanted to call in and say what's up to Jonathan Franklin. I know y'all talking about asking if he's okay.
Yes.
But actually, man, I got a testimony from his first book.
Absolutely. Hey, we appreciate you for calling in.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
First book.
Yes.
I changed my career 40, how you can too.
Yes.
And somebody can change their career 40, man. I just want to say that book, that helped me, man. It was instrumental in my life, man. So I just, I may not get a chance to come across you, in person, but I want to call and at least say, thank you for that, man, because it helped me, So I was able to successfully become a real estate agent out here in Florida, after redirecting, so thank you for that, man. I just want to give you kudos on that.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Appreciate that, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you for tapping in with us and just giving feedback. We appreciate that. And hopefully you have a good day. And congratulations on that career change.
Appreciate that, thank you.
All right. And obviously, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off here. I know you were making a point. I'm sorry.
I was making a point, but man, that took the point itself right there. And it's all about the power of one. That's the testimony. I'll send it back to you after I forgot the point was.
And I love these type of situations because for me, like I said, this is therapy. But to give a little example, I had one of my good friends I worked with, and actually, so to give you a little information, I have in the past 2 years I've had 6 of my friends go through it, right? And all 6 of them were different reasons, but some of it was with fidelity on the women's part. So I had a situation with one of my coworkers. I knew his energy was off. And so we were at work and we were working and his energy was off. And I said, hey bro, how you doing? He said, man, I'm good. And then I said, hey bro, I know how you are, bro. What's going on? Talk to me. And he broke down crying at work. So I had to pull him off. I said, what's going on with you? He said, man, I'm going through this divorce. He said, we got 2 kids. We bought a $400,000 house. And basically, the judge told me that I have to get out. She said, when she filed me, served me these papers, she said I have to get out, and I better make sure that not one utility bill in this house goes missing. And he broke down crying to me. He said, bro, how am I? He said, we bought this house together. He said, it's a $400,000 house. He said, with me moving out, how am I going to be able to afford to get another apartment? He said, there's no way. He said, sleeping on the couch. And he just broke down to me at work. So that safe space is what helped him to get through that because he wasn't telling nobody. Obviously, he broke down at work. So we went in the bathroom and I helped him. Hey man, stuff together before we go back out here. Don't worry about it. I got you. And this is what he needed. Like a few days later, he hit me up. He said, "Brother, I was committing suicide, man.
And that's not the-
I just did not know how I was gonna handle it."
Yeah.
So it's just that moment where I was a safe space for him. And brothers are breaking down like that all over.
But see, here's the problem with that, brother, is that if you commit suicide, that's a permanent decision. It's a temporary problem, right? As Miles said years back, Miles Monroe, I should say, rather. So to your point, when you have the wisdom of the community, you can go to somebody that has gone through it and they survived it. Because if you think about all life and how God works, growth requires some form of loss, and then loss is going to require pain. Like coming to the gym, if you want to grow, you're going to have the pain to persist that, right? So you don't know what happens through that, because we wouldn't have our stories if it were not for our experience. Life is lived going forward, but it's truly understood when we stop and we look backwards, though. And when you can stop and you can look back and you can reflect, share your story with someone else, and that's exactly what you're saying. And the point that I was making before is that I've had friends that were gone through divorces, or there's a major surgery, and I want to know the details around it. And hey, you're going on my prayer list, and I'm praying and I'm following up, and you just don't know what that does for somebody to get a phone call. Oh man, I appreciate your cover, right? And 9 times out of 10, the situation changes or they change. I had a buddy that was major heart surgery that was to happen on a Friday, and I started praying every day. And I called him that morning. I'm over the sink. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, hey, bro, I got you. And you won't believe. And I said, what you mean? They came in and they ran a scan. They found out they don't have to do surgery. Man, I was in tears, because guess what it did? What it did to me, though. You see what I'm saying? And knowing that. But I could tell you so many other stories, just like you talked about, the guy and everything worked out. And then you think about, we can pool our resources, we can pool our wisdom. Here's the thing right here is that by us sharing information right here, we all gain from it. The whole is greater than the individual part. So
I agree. I think time is
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make this point to what you just said in the power of prayer. So I also want to put, not necessarily, I guess it is a challenge to some of the ministry, right? Sometimes church doesn't feel like a safe place to be. And that's just being honest. You go and they may criticize a man from A to Z. Right? What you doing now? A lot of times it's those stats, right? Really, if you look at the stats of who spend the most time with their children in this country, black men, above everybody. Who's most likely to put their children in bed, bathe them? Black men. Look at the stats. Google it. Claude, ChatGPT is there. And sometimes they'll never really correct or say, hey, man, why you may need to do this or that, right? And sometimes you see pastors, if they're going to say something that they don't think women want to hear, they'll come into it shaking. Hey, I may have to hide after I say this. Somebody may need to walk into the closet and say this. Hey, man, just say what God tells you to say, right? Because if you living by the scripture, right, and you're trying to create these spaces, these safe spaces, then you go to church and they reinforce the negative, right, and not landing on what God said, it hurts. And so sometimes that's why men don't speak, because like, who do I go to? So I just wanted to say that piece. And men, if you're dealing with something, hey man, call somebody, right, or pray and ask God to send you someone, right, because we all miss, he will, like,
phone call, text message, anything. Anything.
He will, hey man, if you need somebody, I guess I get alerts about social media stuff, man, but
All the
yeah,
all the suicide 111 hotline.
send me a DM or something, Like I said, we really have prayer lists.
Yeah. Because if you're on the verge of suicide, here's the thing right here you need to understand is that selfish in a sense because when you take whatever to your head, guess what? It's going to your children's head. It's going to your family because guess what? We have to live and we have to deal with that, right? So we're hurting. So it's not fair, for the people that are left behind. But to your point, call someone seriously, right? Because so many people that love you.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up and get out of here, I want to give you both an opportunity to thank you for coming. To have you. I want to give y'all the opportunity to let everybody know where they can follow you at on social media, also how they can get in contact with you as well. So Renault, I'm gonna start with you.
Super easy. If you go to Instagram, Renault Life Strategist. So that's RENAULT Life Strategist. I got a lot of great stuff on there, right? You'll see all the things that's happening around the world. So Renault Life Strategist.
Yeah, so mine is J.Lewis Franklin, Instagram. I think my Facebook may be the same. So I need to get better with that. But yeah, just reach out, man, and we're responsive, right? For that because it's a demonic entity, and we gotta fight it with what God gave us, which is His word, and unite. If the men go away, as Scripture actually say, man, when the hearts of the sons return to the Father, then He'll heal the land. But if the fathers are gone, where's the healing going?
Absolutely. And I want to thank y'all for joining me on Positive Mind Saturdays and having a great show. And we talked about a lot of several topics, but mental wellness is one we kind of nailed down. And I appreciate both of you sharing your amazing testimonies and stories. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all be sure to stay tuned. We got another amazing guest coming in a little bit. And be sure to follow us on our social media at 101 TKO Radio. And be sure to follow me on our social media at Positive Be White. Y'all stay tuned for the next set. We'll be in touch.